we're not trying to get too down about this because we've gone in tangents where we get like really off color with.
Well, we're gonna start here, and then we're gonna work our way up.
We're gonna bring you up.
Yeah,
just as big as that star there.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Cool.
And it's not like we really like started the thing yet, but just kind of again getting our vibe going.
Feet wet.
Feet wet.
Baby, it's cold outside. Yeah, that's a short. But okay.
Welcome to One Set.
Christmas.
Honestly, we should open this by thanking anyone and everyone that's tuning in and watching this. Hey, we're just a couple of really like best friends, brothers, and hanging out. And we're not in this for like popularity. Obviously, we didn't go to school for popularity. We got caught out on trying to be popular 10th grade. I think we talked about that.
I mean, I tried to be the popular kid, but the popularity didn't want me. But hey, I'm okay.
I mean, outside of like the variety show where, you know, I had like, that was my like time to shine.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that was my time to shine because you grew up being the performer before I did. I didn't really start stepping on stage till I was in my teenage years being in a band, where you probably had maybe 4, 6, almost 8 years experience before that, because when did you start stepping on stage? Like,
I mean, if we're gonna dabble in,
I mean, we don't have to, but I mean, because I know we've done it,
but
like,
it's important.
But yeah,
so we should
like
acknowledge
6, 8 years old.
Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me. Acknowledge the stage.
So, like I said before, like I started with karate and baseball,
right,
and then my 2 older sisters were dancing, and my mom saw me trying to do like the Michael Jackson, because the Jackson 5 documentary,
right,
that's where it all started for me.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. She was like, oh my God, he might like be a dancer. So she shoved me in a room, and I was like, I'm gonna go tie one on real quick. No.
Which Michael Jackson film were you watching?
No, honestly,
they didn't put that on cable.
Yeah, no. My parents, I mean, and when I say my parents, I mean my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for my dad on this one. Didn't really drink for like 20 years.
Good for him.
I'm saying I'm speaking for my mom here.
Oh, well, yeah. Good for her.
Yeah.
Okay, cut.
Yeah. No, but really, she was like, I have 3 young kids. I need to be available 24/7. Right. So she just, like, she loved wine back then. And for whatever reason, now she loves beer. Like, I don't know. Probably because it does the trick faster. If you drink the heavier ones.
Right.
But if you drink wine fast enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get let's get back on topic here. What were we talking about?
It was what age did you actually like step on stage the first time? What was it, like 6, 8 years old?
That's how far we got away from that.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Yeah. So my mom.
How long was it when you stepped on stage? Well, my mom started drinking beer when she was. Okay, wait.
Okay, cut.
And this is going to solve the answer for well, we got to take a left here. But yeah, so it was like.
So you're gonna have a lot of fun editing this one.
Okay,
okay,
it's gonna be great. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Before we get back on to me performing on stage, and I'll remember that. Fabulous setup, man.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for the hospitality. I know that this is a tradition that
Oh
you
yeah,
are carrying on.
shouts out to the wifey. She had this tradition with her dad when she was younger, and it kind of, you know, ran into our house, unfortunately, when her father passed away. And so I'll tell you a quick story. Trying to get this platform down the 295 in my CRV, we had like the platform on my car, and me and Jen are literally like, we had maybe a couple things wiring it down, but it was just us like on one side of the car, the other side of the car on 295 holding this thing down.
Wait, this is the OG platform?
Oh yeah, the actual like plywood, like it's, I don't think this has ever changed from what I know of. I'll have to get confirmation, but
Okay, I
uh,
thought you
when I bought,
I thought you both like built like a new one in his honor.
no,
This is the
we took that,
OG.
the actual like, yeah, platform, yeah, the plywood part, yeah, that's the same. We took it from her parents' house and brought it all the way down 295, and she lives maybe like a half hour from here. So think of a CRV driving down the 295 with a platform that was bigger than the top of the car, and we're just like trying to grab this thing like that. It was fun times. So,
Was
but it eventually got here
did did you guys do the transport of this like before he passed or after he passed?
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So um
Obviously, we did not. He didn't do it actually for, I think, the last couple years. Obviously one, but I think he just got away from it. But then she definitely wanted to start the tradition, so it was within that year after we started for the first time, and it made her feel good because obviously it was the first time doing it without him. So there was happiness, sadness, a lot of emotions, but so there's a couple pieces that like he always used on these. I think, I mean, for
I
me,
really
I know she's not here, so I really can't say which ones.
I really
But
want to talk about the Ferris wheel
yeah,
back there.
that's one
That
that we
is
actually bought. So that wasn't one of the original pieces. So
okay.
we bought that. So that's one of the newer pieces. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the little tree house there
Like the
is
fort.
original. I think the little train station mountain thing is there. And dude, we had a little guy see this for the first time last week, and he just like stopped in his tracks. He's like, wow. So every night when he comes home from daycare, he points at this thing. He's like, turn it on.
Well, he's getting to that age where he understands his surroundings,
Uh-huh.
where it's like now it's like everything starts to get really fun because
Mm-hmm.
before it was like, okay, I've got like a baby and now he's not a
Yeah,
baby anymore. And you're
because
like,
last year,
he's
I mean, he saw it and he was just like, okay,
eh,
cool,
yeah,
yeah, nice. But like now, since he's actually like talking and able to express something,
sure.
like he's just like, wow, oh, like Mickey, oh, fire, choo choo, all these things, like pointing out everything.
Well,
So it's cool.
he's acknowledging.
Acknowledging.
Yeah. And this is why you being a dad, uh, it's really fun. Even me on the outside, I don't live with you, clearly.
Right.
Um,
But you can
but
clearly see we have a kid. But
well,
like you
yeah.
were saying off air, like
I'm like, what's all this?
whoopsie.
I
Like,
can't even talk because
like, dude, did you just like buy all this kid stuff for yourself?
That's like
Like,
this anyway. Like it's fine.
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
But no.
But no, yeah, shouts out to us actually having this on the pod. And not that we did this earlier to set up for the pod. We usually do, this is like our thing we do after Thanksgiving, like the week, like after Thanksgiving, that weekend we usually do this all in one day. But
Well, this episode is being published on December 22nd.
yeah,
Right?
so yeah, so Chris is a couple days away, but
like 3 weeks out.
yeah, so this obviously previously recorded, but for you guys, we're a couple days away from Christmas. But so with having a kid, we started doing like this in weeks at a time. So it took us maybe 2 weeks to get all this done, wherein we would just do this in like one day when we didn't have him, obviously, because we didn't have somebody, screaming at us, Ma, Ma, Dad,
Mommy,
Mommy, Mama, Mama.
hi.
What? Hi.
Yeah.
To all our Family Guy fans that loved our Family Guy content.
100%. Yeah. I mean, look, the village setup has been a thing at my house too.
And I'll do like a whole like video setup, so
Our
for the people on
viewers
the
can
pod, our
see
viewers can see everything like up close.
this is really nice.
I'll do it. So I'll do like a voiceover of like, us talking about it with that. So it'll be cool.
And some of this is Frank's
Yeah.
stuff, and some of this you've added to it.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna like say like every little thing. Like I know like these things were like his original stuff. The church, Mitt and Mickey, we just got that last year, so he loves that obviously.
Because
Him-
Little Tone.
Little Tone, yeah. I think that one might be new. I know those two things in the back. If you can scroll down, well, not scroll down. If you can bend down a little bit, there's a truck back there. That's one of Frank's old trucks.
Nice. I do see the truck.
So he always had that on there, and that's one of the things like Jen was always saying that was like I think it was one of his favorite things. So she's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be up front, but I at least want it on there. Cool,
Absolutely,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the tower here, the clock tower, that is original. The one in the back, I think that's more new. So it's a good mixture of like old and new, and these are just not all the houses. Sometimes I think we have a handful of stuff that we still don't put on there, and every year we'll be like, okay, well maybe since we did this one last year, we'll do this one next year, and like so it's always never the same every year.
Well, and I think it's important.
Some things stay on there, but we'll have one or two that maybe change up every year.
It's important to acknowledge, like, if I had to guess, this isn't your forever home, right?
Right.
So once you guys relocate and get a setup, and this is just me, I would actually do like shelves so that you can layer and put all the things up so that it's like it's not just a village, it's like actually a city that surrounds the tree.
The first year we just had it all leveled on one level, and the following year I think everybody had the idea of like maybe just doing different levels. So we have a couple, like the ones in the back are a little bit higher, so you kind of have little elevations and stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of took the thing up a notch too.
All you really need in order to do that is more cotton, because you can just set boxes in order to elevate.
And I think one of the big things, spoiler, the things that we're gonna work on for next year is doing like a live train going through the thing, because he's not like big on trains, but if he saw it, he would love it.
Well, and I think in a year from now, he'll be at the age where he'll be just jonesing about something like that.
So I think that'll be cool to add that to like the thing, because I mean, I like to keep the tradition for her, obviously, but it would be cool to kind of like continue to add on and like revamp and make it even better, because it's not only a tradition for Jen, but now it's passed down to him. So we want to keep the tradition, but also put in new stuff that he's going to remember about it too.
Yeah, it's just
so then hopefully he can pass it down to his kids.
It's and anyone watching, anyone who has a spouse who is passing down a tradition from a deceased parent, it's very hard to even try to say, hey, I want to add my influence into this, right? But you're kind of like, hey, we're doing this for Lil Tone, and he happens to be also mine, right? So like
no, he's mine, like
no, but like in all seriousness, like I know where the struggle is with, like, this was like a tradition passed down from Jen's dad, and you are trying to honor and respect it, right?
And I think this is the first time that you were able to, like, I know you've been here when you when this was up, but this is the first time you've actually been able to dissect it.
Yeah, I've taken a glance at it before. I'm like, oh, that's what you guys do. That's cool. Next,
Because I
yeah.
know last year we showed you pictures, and then you and I think that sparked you and Cheyenne to be like, yeah, we should probably do like one of our little own. And you guys did like something somewhat similar, not to like this gigantic size, but like something similar in the old apartment.
So the apartment was for anyone that has been following and knows, even if you don't, I tried to make that place as homey as we could make it,
Right.
given where it was. Her favorite part was the shelves that I built, and I used like actual math and trigonometry to cut the angles to make the shelves like corner perfect.
Oh, you used the math that we did in school for once?
Yeah, how about
Woo!
that? So when everyone's
Stay
like,
in school, kids.
stay in school, kids. Cheers, man. Thanks
Cheers.
for the hot cocoa. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of hot chocolate, this is what I wanted to talk about. Not to kind of cut you off from what you were talking about, but we'll get back in the math talk. Hot cocoa. We just made it before we started, and you took a drink right away. You can drink stuff that's like blistering hot and be okay, or do you have to wait for it to cool down?
Well, let's talk about number one. I identify as a female most of the time.
Mama, no,
mommy. Yeah. No, seriously, like anything too spicy, can't do it. Anything too hot, like to the tongue, can't do it. If we want to actually extend this beyond that, I was scrolling through my Instagram this morning and there was a picture of a bat, and I threw my phone. I was like, I can't do it. I like miss me with all the social media.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, hi, y'all. My pronouns are
SHE.
that. Yeah. Like all jokes aside, that was true. I scrolled through my Instagram. I found a bat and I threw my phone. I was like, whoopsie. Yeah. I'm going to try to go back to sleep. Couldn't, by the way.
Yeah, after you had that nightmare on you.
Yeah. And it happened while I was wide awake.
Great.
5:53 and a half in the morning.
You should have called me. We were up.
Who calls anyone anymore? That's like Tom and Bert talked about this, right? Because Bert was like, oh, I'm just going to FaceTime them right now. And Tom was like, that's really aggressive.
Yeah. Like, I just don't automatically say like, oh, let's just no, I'll just phone call or text. Usually now it's like more, hey, let me text them before I call. So then if this conversation ends, I can just stop answering my phone instead of having to be like having that awkward, like, okay, bye.
I think it was maybe 3 years ago that I actually like registered and got the hint. It's pre-COVID, right? I was texting Kim, my sister Kim. We were texting back and forth, and I was like, "Are you free?" She's like, "Yeah, what's up?" And then I called her, and then she didn't answer. and like immediately in that moment, I was like, "We've been having back and forth text dialogue for 20 minutes. So I'm like, why can't you just chat with me?
Yeah.
Over the phone. It will be faster.
Nothing grinds my gears more than when you're chatting with somebody through a text or like messenger, and you're having like a full out conversation, and then just all of a sudden you send them something and then they just don't answer for like 5-10 minutes. Like, I was just talking to you. Like, I mean, but then it's like, oh, well, I was doing this, but like, you couldn't just text me real quick, like, hey, be right back.
Yeah.
I guess it's just me because I'm so used to just being responding to people really quick. But then when people don't respond really quick to me, it's just more like, did I say something wrong? Like,
dude, I feel the same way about you when you're at work. I'm like, oh, he must be busy with work, or it must be his lunch break, or one of his, whether it be his wife or
I sent
parents.
you a little snappy snap of where I was working in the one day, and so you kind of got a glimpse of my whole day's work of what I'm usually doing.
Dude, I barely even use Snapchat anymore. It's so
I only really use it to just look at one or two people's profiles.
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it. I don't snap anymore. I don't send people snaps
Well,
unless it's something that I see on there and I'm like, hey, this is funny. Let me show somebody. But rarely that's it.
I think it's important too that like the internet, society in itself is like Snapchat is for cheaters, right?
Mm,
So it's like, well, if that's like the projected agenda, then I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to send pictures via SMS text, or my favorite is Facebook Messenger, which is where you and I communicate, right?
right.
I I have consolidated my work, like my work is where my texts live, or my family dialogue is there.
Yeah.
My friends, aka you, is my messenger back and forth,
Right.
and that's it. And I tried to appropriate or organize it that way so that I knew this platform was for this in my life. This platform was for this in my life. Like I actually tried to organize it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when they start to like cross over is where I start breaking down up here, and I start taking my anger out on people when I should. I'm not an angry person, everybody, okay? But no,
We're very
realistically,
kind.
yeah, we're very kind.
We're
But
both in the same, like we're very kind people, but we get to a point point we get to a boiling point, and you don't want to see us when we're at that boiling point.
well, you and I, because we're the same,
Mm-hmm.
we don't explode.
Same.
Same. We don't explode. We implode.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
So my day yesterday, real quick, if I can be real quick about this, was um, I had to get my phone screen fixed on the family plan, still via like the business that
Yeah.
we used to once run.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm not like the head of the
Right.
account.
Gotcha.
So I was like, okay, mom, I need you to hold my hand. I need you to hold with me.
Right.
So she had plans to go to Granite Run to shop. So I was like, okay, Granite Run's here. I can either go to Glen Mills or to Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think like just the accessibility is easier to go to the Glen Mills spot from where I live.
Right.
We got to the Glen Mills shop, and then we looked online, which I need to qualify the state, not qualify, but to be fair, we did previously look the night before and it said it opened at 10 a.m. And then when we got there, suddenly it was permanently closed.
Great.
Great.
Love that.
Love that. Yeah. So my mom was like, having this isn't embarrassing. It's just a very realistic thing. She's like, I'm having GI issues. I need to go home.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, you don't need us, because Cheyenne was with me. You
Right.
don't need us to come home with you. Can we just go to the next spot and see what they can do? She was like, I just have to go home. Like, if you've ever been in the car before and you felt the need to poo your pantalones,
Oh.
you feel the agitation
Feel.
and the frustration. I have been there from the Essen Diner, which is quarter mile from where my parents are. If that. I have walked there, I have walked home. Sometimes, like, and this is why I hate their coffee. Like, it's the one thing I will complain about.
Just goes right through you.
It just
like a water stream through your through your veins.
Yeah.
Makes no stops, just right to the colon.
Yeah. Right to the colon.
Colland.
If you've ever been fishing, you're not going to catch any fish on that stream.
Okay.
Okay. What were we talking about? I don't even
What
remember.
were we talking about again? Yeah. This has been
Rewind.
all over. But
Don't. Go back.
we were talking about hot chocolate, though.
Well, we were talking about hot chocolate, and I was talking about fixing my phone.
Yeah. Store I was thinking about. It's the You Break I Fix store, right? Is that what it's called?
So it's Assurian is the
that's the company or
insurance.
Thing. But yeah, like the actual like brand of the store. Because I went there one time to before I got this phone, because I had cracked my phone and I was going to be able to get a discount. They said, well, if you fix your phone, we'll be able to give you the $800 credit in order to do that. So I'm like, all right. I mean, what was it, like maybe $20-$30 to fix it? I'm like, $20-$30 for an $800 credit sounds like a good deal to me. So I went there, and they did pretty good work.
Yeah. So stupid me, because I'm smart in some aspects, but really dumb in a lot of other aspects.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Remember that time I went to Nashville with like the PB guys?
Yeah.
And
which I gotta get there,
dude. Nashville,
it's on my bucket list. It's on my bucket list. If anybody's been to Nashville, please, put in the comments, let us know what you think.
100%.
Because I got to get there. Everybody that I come into contact with has been saying you got to go.
And if you like, you being a musician,
yeah,
I even have wanted to take you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been like, dude, we should go.
Right.
Because literally, like, the main strip is every restaurant, bar that you walk into, live music everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
The whole like strip down there.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
like, dude. So that was September of 2019 was when I went, and the first day I was there, my PB buddies,
mm-hmm.
we were in the hotel room, and my one friend was like, look at everyone on their phones. We're supposed to be here enjoying ourselves. Everyone get off your phones. So I threw my phone across the room, and it bounced off of the couch and onto the floor and then the screen. It didn't crack, but it was gone.
You knew it was
gone, because I picked it up and I looked at it and I was like, it was blinking.
Right.
75% from the bottom up. And then like the rest of the time I was like, well, I'm glad I brought my laptop because I can communicate with people back home this way.
Yeah.
At least. But that's only when I'm in the hotel room.
Exactly.
But yeah, same thing happened. Not same thing. I wasn't in that. Same. Yeah. I think I told you I was helping my dad like pick up firewood.
Yeah.
And I rolled a log up.
Yeah.
And it didn't even crack my like the screen bad, but it put enough of a crack in it that like the bottom 80% started blinking.
Yeah.
For 5 weeks. And then like a couple days ago, it started like blacking out real bad. And I was like, I will downgrade to a lesser model phone if it means I can have a phone, but I need to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I filed the claim, which, mind you, the Nashville thing, I didn't file a claim. I just looked for a repair shop and I paid $430.
Jesus.
Half of a phone.
That's really how they get you.
Yeah. So this time I went through, like, I actually asked Carly, I was like, hey, you're not busy and you like to do this kind of stuff. See what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked to an agent on like the online profile, and they were like, well, if you file a claim, it's going to be a $29 deductible if you go through insurance. And that's what I did. I paid $29. Like, when I filed the claim, took my phone to the spot yesterday, like 10 minutes away that way. They're like, okay, it's going to be like 2 to 3 hours. I was like, cool. 4 hours pass. Like, I did things out that way.
Mhm.
Went home, had to use the bathroom. And then I was just waiting to hear from them. I got an email about my warranty, and then Cheyenne called and was like, "Is this phone done yet?" Which thankfully she will jump on the phone and do that.
Mhm.
I think you and I are kind of in the same boat on that kind of stuff, where it's
Mhm.
kind of like, they'll let me know when it's ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get a phone call yet. It's like,
Yeah.
well,
Right.
maybe you should call them to see if it's done. Like, they said they would give me a call. Like, you
Because
should call them. Like,
we don't want to pester people because
right.
we know what it feels like. Right.
I'll call them. I'll call them later. You should call now.
I'll
I'll
call
call
now.
now.
So we go
There
to
it is.
there it is. So we go to the store, and there is this Karen mom, and that's rude. And is that like, is that racist to call people Karen anymore? Like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
I don't think that's
There was
on that topic,
a
but yeah.
mother that was particularly perturbed
There you go.
and voicing her opinion vocally at high volume. Did I get that right?
That was good. High five on that.
Thank you. All right,
That was
I
good.
tried. I tried.
That was the most Sun Valley graduate statement we could ever
Politically
get.
correct statement I could have ever said.
Yeah, there you go. Cut, print that.
Yeah, copy paste.
Yeah.
No, but I walked in, I sat down. And she's definitely a mom because the kid was sitting next to me, just letting it happen.
Mhm.
I don't need to go into details about like what it was.
Yeah.
She had a legitimate reason to be upset, but also the insurance people were like, my hands are tied. This is not me. So they were just standing behind the counter, taking it, accepting it, retrieving it, acknowledging it.
Acknowledge.
While I sat there and was like, I'm just here to get my freaking phone back, right?
Right.
But I'm not standing up there shouting, hey, hey, give me my phone. No, I sat there patiently while this back and forth situation was happening. And then 5 minutes later, because when I dropped my phone off, there was one person behind the counter and he just took my phone. It was quick. Here's my claim. He's like, you want me to call you? I was like, on that phone that you're taking right now?
I felt the same way when they did with mine. Like, well, you're kind of taking my phone, so how are you going to call me with that phone?
I gave him my email. I gave him Cheyenne's phone number. They didn't call her. And like I said, she called them. They were like, oh, it'll be 5 minutes. So we traveled, went there, situations happening. They give me my phone back. I jump in the car. Well, first I checked. I was like, okay, cool. My screen's fixed. Nice.
Yeah.
And then not even 5 minutes later, I'm like, what's this notification that says no SIM card found?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got like 10 minutes towards home away from there, and then like actually touched the notification, came up and was like, your phone's not going to work properly without a SIM card. And I was like, oh my God.
Can you please come back here so you can get your SIM card?
I'm like, if I have to go back there and deal with one more, not, I can't say Karen, one more, lady our age that has a teenage child that's upset about a thing, vocalizing her angst.
Way to keep it centered.
Thank you. Yeah. No.
Keep it consistent.
Just, yeah. No, I literally walked back in and the dude saw me for the third time that day and he was like,
please tell me you walked in. You're like, hi, can I help you? Like, obviously
No,
ignoring the fact that he hasn't seen you the 2 times before and acting like you're a new customer.
actually, I think I was there for 45 seconds tops, not even a minute.
Mm.
I was standing there and he looked at me. He was like, "Sir, what's the matter?" Not, he didn't say it like that, but he was
Yeah.
like, "Is there a problem?" Because I was back and I was like,
Mhm.
"No SIM card." And he was just like,
Mm.
dude, and like you and I are those kind of guys where like we are understanding people, where like
Mhm.
we want to be like, hey, we get it. You had a busy day. It's a Friday.
Friday.
And like I didn't want to be that customer to be like ripping into them, especially because I was there watching it happen with, her name wasn't Karen as far as I know. But
No.
some disgruntled customer. Um I just don't want to be that person.
Right.
And look, the thing that you and I are learning, especially with our significant others, is like, hey, there's a balance to everything, right?
Mhm.
And that's why, like, for you and for me, our significant others are really great at like charging in when it's important,
I
right?
was gonna say, sometimes I'm just like, you're lucky you have me right now because I can release the tiger right now on you and just be like, I mean, this is your best bet right now without kind of getting, your face torn off right now. So, because just like we said, we have pretty much the same significant others where we're the quiet people to wait for a phone call where they'll be like, all right, well, I'm gonna call now because it should be done by now, and I'm not waiting any longer. Like, okay, you go do that.
Yeah, because you know,
And
you
then they get what they want because
because
they're good like that.
it's I'll call later. You call now.
I'll
I'll
call
call
now.
now. Yeah. No, it's good because you and I are that level patient where like the last appointment that I was at with Cheyenne, like her pre-op appointment,
Yeah.
we were waiting outside the elevator. We're standing there and she's like, let's just take the stairs. Let's just take the stairs. Let's just take the stairs. The stairs. And I was like, just hang on a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was really cool was the two people in front of us got into the elevator and then the two people behind us swung around us and jumped in front of us and got in the elevator. And then she's like, we're taking the stairs. I was like, you're the one with the bad back here. So I'll do the
Right.
staircase down and up. I'm fine.
Just more. I mean, want to make sure you're going to be okay doing it.
Yeah, because if you take the steps one level and then you say, "Oh my god, I can't
Bad
do
idea.
this," you're living with it, and I get to hear it, right? And that's not like a jab; it's just what it is, right? What were we talking about?
So Christmas stuff.
Yeah. Let's get back to this because I think we were talking about the platform.
But
jeez,
yeah, the platform.
That was like 20 minutes ago.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. No, so oh yeah, the fact that this is coming out the
22nd.
22nd, 23rd,
22nd.
22nd.
Yep.
Yeah. I think either that day or Saturday it's supposed to be National Ugly Sweater Day. So let's acknowledge our ugly sweaters. What do you have on?
I have a really cute sweater on that I borrowed from one of my sisters.
Cute is like,
an understatement.
Yeah.
All right.
That is fashion, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look at this gorgeous thing here. Look at this tall glass of water here. Yeah.
I was about to do the red carpet walk, and I was like, nah, he's not
doing it. So you got that, and I'm supporting Mary Quithmouth, Mike Tyson. I'm not going to say too much because he's going to be the only guy that finds our podcast. And he's going to beat the shit out of me. Man, I told you these one fat dudes. These
one fat dudes.
Shit.
On the real though, I actually it's bad because like I like playfully will speak in Lisp like daily.
Right.
Especially with Cheyenne. It's kind of like a back and forth dynamic, and it's to no like disrespect to anyone that has a legitimate Lisp. If that's a thing that you handle, we're not targeting you.
Right. All in fun and games.
All in yeah. Well, that like argument can carry into so many other things that we're not even going to get into. Okay. But what were we talking about?
What were we talking about again?
Yeah, no. I was just acknowledging your sweater is so fine. It's like really
It works.
It works.
It works. God. Yeah, I got this last year. My mom was trying to do the whole ugly sweater thing for Christmas, and I didn't have one. So she's like, well, everybody wear a good ugly sweater. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going out. I'm going to be definitely trying to get a laugh on this because I'm not going to bomb at this place. And it did. So I probably got one laugh.
So when we talked about this months ago,
I knew this was going to be the one.
So. Well, and I was like, I'll just borrow one from my dad because I don't own like I've never
thing. I've never done like the whole ugly sweater party, never done any of those things. I would have loved to have been asked, but never had the opportunity. So actually getting one of these things was like, okay, well, if I ever do get asked for an ugly sweater party, at least I have one instead of being like, oh, well, let me go the day of during Christmas when there's nothing. And then you have to, borrow one of your sister's ugly sweaters and then figure out that you're like, oh, I thought it was an XL. And no, it's like a
XS.
Yeah, wrong letter.
That's why
wrong letter.
This is riding up my lower abdomen and
extra schmedium,
plumber's crack on my back that no one can see, thankfully. Thanks to me and luckily for you. Anyway.
Yeah.
But dude, suit jackets, same thing. Because like I forked over $200. I found
easily
this really nice green like velour jacket, and I found a red one. It was like 3 years ago, like at this time, and I was like, well, I'm here, I'm gonna get a green one and a red one, and then be like, well, I'll just swap out for Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day for green, make it work.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, he only owns 2 jackets. And it's that red one and that green one. Right? And this is where you and I are kind of on like the minimalist end, where it's like we don't need a lot of things to keep us happy.
Right.
Right? And that's why, my fam is asking me, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I have the things that I need.
I usually never, like, my mom will probably attest to this, like, whenever she asks me, and even my wife's always saying, like, you it's so hard shopping for you, like, because, like you said, like, I barely buy myself anything anymore.
Yeah.
Because, I'll wear the same t-shirt for years and be like, it might have, like, that little hole in there. I'm like, it's under my armpit. It's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to see it. So I'm fine.
100%.
As long as there's no like crappy stains or like visual holes or something.
Or you're throwing it on and there's crust rubbing against your skin.
Yeah. So as long as I don't look like a dirt ball.
Yeah.
Then it's staying in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
It's like guys, hanging on to underwear for years, and like like the meme that they have with Spider-Man, and he has like half the mask. Like those guys that are waiting to buy underwear, but they still have the old underwear. The one piece of underwear is looking in the drawer, like,
Yeah, you're talking about where like the mask is cut.
It's all cut
Oh
open.
yeah.
Like the 10-year-old underwear that's being used.
Yeah, no joke, man. I mean, and it's like I literally was just talking to Shine about this last night. I was like, we're not doing stocking stuffers. Do not get me the hygiene stuff. I'm like, that's in like in every other month like expense that we do.
Hmm.
That's not a Christmas gift.
Right.
Invest in the gift that
I
is
mean,
like
I'm
a
all about gift cards now. Like gift cards, like I'll. That's usually what I tell people now. It's like gift cards, gift cards, gift cards, because they're more practical than me trying to figure out. Okay, do I want a shirt? Do I need sweatshirts? Do I want a new pair of shoes? Or not only just clothes, but like the stuff that I want is like out of range for people to be like, oh, what do you want? Like, oh, it would be nice for you to get me like a $2,000 guitar that I've always wanted. Like,
yeah,
yeah, sure, here you go.
yeah.
That because that's nobody ever is like handing me that type of money.
It's it, if you have more to like expend on that, go ahead.
Right. And I mean, but like, so like that's where gift cards come in. I mean, I can always just like, give me a Wawa gift card. Shout out Wawa. Uh, you know, give me a Kohl's gift card. Shout out Kohl's. I mean, I've grown to actually like Kohl's. And like how you were just saying with the suit jackets, I just bought two new suit jackets. And again, it riles up to the same thing you were just saying. Riles up. Wow. Uh, the fact that I've been using the same black suit jacket for a while and I've never really went away from that one. So I got myself a new black one because, black eventually fades. Fade the Black, aka Metallica. Check out their new single. It's great.
Yeah.
And then I got myself. I always wanted like a light gray suit jacket because I've had like light gray pants, but I always wore the black suit jacket over top of that. So I had the light gray suit jacket that I took to Florida a couple weeks ago for the conference, and I'm sure you can agree when you're looking good, your whole personality changes. I felt awesome in that suit jacket.
It's a very real thing, and I completely eliminate it from the equation when like and I hope I'm not like cutting you off
Mm-mm.
entirely, but when I'm setting a piece, I literally like a routine,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a solo, a duo, a trio, a small group, a large group, a production. I never think about what they're wearing, like the fashion end of it, and the like. I'm fortunate that I have directors that are like, um, gee, can I say they're female and
Right.
they're very in tune with that. I'm not allowed to say that because men are allowed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but forever since I started creating productions, I was like, and you can ask. I'm not gonna like name drop them. I have a former student of mine that is now choreographing, creating, doing great work. I was doing her solo and her mother said, "What do you think about this?" And she walked in the room with her getup on, and I was like, "I really don't care. She could wear a trash bag. I just want her to dance well."
Yeah.
That's like if she's in a trash bag and she dances really good, that's what I care about. But
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't go without saying. And this is also because maybe like we're simple guys. Like we are like, hey, this is what I mean. I wouldn't wear. I might wear this every day. I
You
don't
might.
know. No,
I mean, I'm probably not. Yeah, I probably.
yeah,
Would.
I
I might.
but like what I wear to work is very like loose fitting,
Yeah,
casual,
comfortable.
comfortable because I have to have mobility in what I like what I'm wearing to
Right.
do what I do. So not to say I wear like sweats all the time. I'm not like in PJs
Mm-hmm.
or pajamas or whatever. Um but it's very casual, like everyday
Hmm.
stuff. So when the opportunity arrives that I get to dress up, I'm very awkward about it. I'm like, oh God.
Because you're not used to it.
Yeah. Right. And I'm doing the tie. I like get the knot done. I'm like, wow, I look good. I'm like, I don't even know what it feels like to be able to even say that to myself.
Hmm.
Right. You know what I mean? So that's like you said, you had the same black blazer dress pants forever
Hmm.
and then just scored that new one. When you score a new like get up and throw it on for the first time, you're like, wow, I feel kind of great about myself.
It's
It's
like
like
a
it's
whole,
real weird.
yeah, it's like a whole like thing that just flushed over. Like you I mean, I'm pretty positive most of the time, but it's like, when you have like a new like thing that you're trying on or something, like, wow, I actually look good, and then you like start, you know, standing up a little bit more, your posture is a little bit better, blah blah blah, happiness, great, yeah. But yeah, like now, like I want to invest in like more colors to kind of, because instead of just like, and when I'm at these conferences, I'm only really, there for like 2, 3, 4 sessions. So sometimes I'm just switching it up. Like I'll wear the black suit one day, the gray suit one day, then mix two of them up. I'll wear like the black suit jacket with the gray pants and another shirt. And then I'll do vice versa, like gray suit jacket with black pants with a different shirt. So I'm not taking as much, but it'd be cool to like, I've always seen, dudes wearing like the blue, uh, you know, suit attire with like the brown dress shoes, white shirt. That's a pretty typical, one too. So I'm like, all right. But then you get to the point where, and I'm sure you can agree too, you see somebody wearing that, like, I want to try that. Then you try it on, you're like, I do not look like that guy. Because like some of those things are fit, and we're not like overweight, but like when you see some dude that's like, fit, I mean, and they like the taper down, blah blah. It seems like they like a tailored suit type of thing, and then you try on the same suit, and you just like, no, different vibe. I don't like it.
Well, it's important to acknowledge like the
This is the episode about all about acknowledging Christmas.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, and with Christmas comes with like feeling good. So
yeah,
we're talking like rare things, which is like you and I getting into like dress up like suit gear,
right.
right? Which is like, the only things that look good on you that you feel good about are when they're cut correctly. Like the shoulders are just right. The pants are not too baggy or too slim.
Yeah, and I think that's where tailored suits come into importance. Where if you're buying them off the rack, and it looks good, you found a good match. But like, I feel I'm just in between like the 44 and 46. So if I were to get like a tailored thing, they would have to probably, if they do that. I've never been to like an actual like tailored place.
Doo doo.
Do 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 the do do. If they do the do do the do do the do do
Doo doo.
phenomena the do do the do do.
There it is.
So I feel like if they really had to tailor it down, it would be like somewhere in between like the 44, 46,
Yeah,
number.
I'm between like the 42 and
And
44.
sometimes those jackets will be a little
Short.
a little short or a little long. It have to be tailored in. But like, the to make alterations and stuff, that costs money too. So it's like,
So when you find that right jacket and you throw it on, you're like, perfect.
perfect.
Dude, it's like once in a decade,
Hmm.
I feel like.
Now, obviously, Christmas dinner. I mean, we both come from the same families. You're not dressing up in a suit for Christmas dinner. I mean, we don't come from the same families of like we have to be, super super dressed up. Like I would be okay like going to my parents like this.
It's funny you mention that. I think that I feel like my family, including myself, like tries to look more presentable on Thanksgiving. for
Yeah.
dinner,
Hmm.
because Christmas Day, it's supposed to be like you're not a try hard, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, like I remember like, because we're gonna get into like, what do you remember as a kid that you got like as like big gifts?
Hmm.
I remember I was maybe ninth or 10th grade, probably 10th. I got like a South Pole like suit get up,
Okay.
not suit, but like the
Yeah.
sweatpants
Hmm.
and the up top gear. And I threw that on and I was like, dang, I'm fly right now. And
Hmm.
I wore that all day for Christmas. I was
Right.
like, that's it. I don't like, I'm not like doing the button up. And my parents never cared like that. They were never like, oh, you need to be in a turtleneck sweater or turtleneck sweaters. Remember those?
Yeah.
Um, I,
Are they turtlenecks even still a thing?
I,
I don't see many people doing the turtlenecks unless it's just become like a different name or some type of.
I think it's kind of obsolete at
Yeah.
this point. Like it's a late '90s, early 2000s thing.
I used to wear them when I was younger, but not anymore.
Yeah, I've had sweaters that I wore that were like nice, casual.
Hmm.
You have them,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Um, but it's just very like, I feel like this is again where you and I are like the same person almost, where it's like nobody expects us to like get done up like that
Right.
to be presentable on that level. It's like if we need to, like if you have a work conference, you've got a suit. Boom,
That's
done.
the only real time during the year that I'm thinking, okay, suit jacket, and this is the first time actually, and I probably won't do this again because it was just a fluke that I forgot them, but the ties, I forgot my ties, so I was all bummed out about crap. I'm gonna look like an idiot not going to this conference without a tie, but there was a lot of people that didn't have ties on, so I'm assuming that having a, it depends on the situation with business wise too, but I think it's really kind of, I guess, going, I don't think it's going out of style, but it really depends like what you're going for. If you're going to a conference, if you don't have a tie, it's okay, but I feel more comfortable and like more like, okay, traditionally you got to wear a suit, tie, and everything because it makes you look more presentable
Well,
instead of you
this
know yeah.
this is where the time where our dads like actually came in and were like, uh y- dude, professionally, tie.
Right.
Like,
My
and
dad, since I was a kid, known him, suit jacket, tie,
let
button up, because he was a teacher. So back in the day, that was the attire. A lot more teachers these days are not always in a suit and tie.
they're loose. Yeah.
They're more loose. Where my dad was always in a suit and tie, suit jacket, everything. Principal suit jacket, tie, everything. So you know, and even still to this day, he's still doing, he's not really in the school district business per se, like working for a school, but he'll go to schools and do his thing. But still, suit jacket, suit tie, still the
Well,
same get up.
it's that whole, you want to present yourself as a boss, right?
And then I think the generation part of it too. They're so
100%.
used to that type of thing. Where now today, I think it's more business casual, where like it's optional. I mean, you can dress down and still look presentable. So
Yeah, I think I saw this meme like a couple days ago where it's like it talked about 90s kids growing up where the generation before them. And I was like, look, you were born second half of 86. I was born early half of 87.
mhm,
So we were 90s kids growing up,
right.
like through the 90s. And it was like, imagine being 90s kids where the generation before you was all about you work hard
Hmm.
and you live the dream. You work hard, you get paid well, and you're pursuing the American dream.
Right.
And very much nowadays, it's like I don't want to work at all. I want to work light. I don't want to try that hard. And
And I think now with social media and uh, with social media having the ability for you to make money and not have to leave the house, I think that's half the reason why we're coming. And I'm not getting political or type of that thing, but like I think that's half the reason why you see a lot of these places with short staffs and all these things, because social media has made it so easy for these young kids to be like, I don't need to go to a day job and find work. I can just go on TikTok and go live and make money that way. What
Sure.
instead of me having to work for a boss. So I think again, going into a new generation where these kids that are coming up on us, where we're like in the middle of these people, so we're still in the
What,
middle of all these things, but like these kids are finding new ways to not have to be doing like a part-time job or a 9 to 5. They can make money by working on their own, by just posting stuff on the internet or doing this and that, where they can be their own boss.
yeah, and like you
So
said, it's tough to like talk about this without getting political,
mhm.
right? And I feel like you and I really dive away from all of that
Yeah,
all the time,
because
just
like we said,
because
we don't really partake too much into it, so we don't try to put our political views out there, which is fine with me. I mean, uh, but
me too.
don't mind ever really talking about what is happening out there in the real world.
you're
uh,
you're almost afraid to even say it.
don't cancel us.
Yeah, don't cancel us for saying what is actually happening right now.
But
Because
I mean, it's also. I mean, I gotta respect the fact that these kids are finding new ways to find work. It's
sure,
because
yeah,
you know with technology, what else are you going to do with it? I mean, we're sitting here in a podcast, just talking about our day, and people are watching it. 20 years ago, you would be laughed at to think, well, I'm going to go on the one thing, the internet wasn't a thing. And even then you would 10 years ago podcasts weren't really a thing. You would have, if somebody would have told you, hey, I'm just going to sit in front of a camera and start talking, and eventually people are going to be watching, you would have got laughed at.
well,
Where now it's
podcasts,
like 4 million people are doing the same thing.
yeah, podcasts 10 years ago was like very unheard of.
It was a very small niche of
It
people.
was a very new thing.
Yeah.
And people like Bill Burr like got on it
Mm-hmm.
immediately, and that's why
Burr,
he's
Rogan,
Rogan.
everybody.
Definitely.
So
I think even Tom and Christina have been doing it for 12 years, maybe.
uh-huh.
Um, it's like, so that 2007 to 2010 range was where like podcasts started becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would see it and be like, yeah, I don't even know what that is, and just ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, I never really acknowledged podcasts until I started my own one, Table Talk, back during the pandemic, and I didn't even really consider it as a podcast because it was really just me live streaming, with my friends, musician friends, and we would just play some songs and just interact with the people live. Little did I know that I can repurpose these live streams, put it out on Spotify or YouTube, and that was a podcast. I didn't really think of it as a podcast until, actually like promoting it like a podcast like that. And then, I had you on, and then, we had some good reactions from, a lot of our high school people. And that strung a thing in me and you, because then I think that's when we really started discovering Tom and Bert and everybody. And we're like, I think especially from the reaction we got, I think we can definitely do this for ourselves. And then here we are, probably a year later from when we've really started brainstorming this thing.
I
I think
mean,
we really started brainstorming
I
maybe what, like last October, November.
I mean, you'd have to go back to when you had me on Table Talk, because I think after that I was like, dude, we could even start our own podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, not that you were like, okay, let me just like kick Table Talk away. I think that you were like, um, and this is very like organic and real.
Mm-hmm.
We did not sign on to this to be like, let's get like 1 million viewers to watch us. Um, it's literally going back to like when you and Jen were at the apartment.
Yeah.
and I would come over for Monday Night Raw every Monday,
And we would
and
just
like
shoot the shit.
we would half pay attention, but we would also half be like, hey, we're hanging out. So
Yeah.
this I think that this podcast has been um really, really amazing as far as um like us getting to interact with each other, because like we text, and anyone that texts all this, you get it.
Yeah.
You text with your friends on the regular, it's not anywhere even close to when you actually get together and talk
Yeah.
in person with your friends or family,
Hmm.
whichever it is.
I mean,
I mean, yeah.
we said that, we've been friends for 20 plus years, but I think this year has been probably one, like, top 2 or 3 closest years, because we've been seeing each other every week and documenting every week of our life through this podcast. And whether, we have 0 followers or listeners, or if we had 10 or thousands, we still would have, I mean, obviously we're still here, and we appreciate everybody who's been listening, or at least checked us out for 5 seconds, if anything. We know we've had a couple short content things blow up within this year, and never would have thought any of that would have happened. But this is just like Jim said, that I come from being a musician and thinking numbers, and I went into this really thinking numbers of like, okay, let's try to gain more followers, let's think into this, and I still do that. But Jim has really given me the second notion to stop always thinking numbers, just do the thing, let it be out there. And we haven't put a dime into like advertising with this podcast yet or anything. Not that we really need, because we've been having so much organic content and organic growth from this year. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, it's just shown me that as long as you're consistent and you keep putting out fun content for people to see, people are going to latch onto it. You know, we're farther along now than what we were back in January when we started. And you know, we've already really started to skim into our ideas for season 2, which is going to be starting in, I mean, obviously this is out, so season 2 starting in like 2 weeks at this point. So be on the lookout for season 2. Uh got some, you know, newbies coming for you with that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, if we can kind of wrap up, you know, a little bit of like, I know we've been kind of going into like a year end thing, but we got a couple more things with that. But yeah, this has just been, a different type of, you know, thing for me this year. I mean, I've never been this consistent with anything, and knowing that we have, this is episode 50, so we have 2 more episodes, and I've never been consistently putting out one thing every week of the year for 52 weeks ever. I can't even think of anything that I've done 52 weeks putting out one thing every week. And even if it wasn't on a Friday, I know there was maybe 1 or 2 Fridays that we missed, but we still put it out that Saturday. But there was something within that week that we put out every single week for 52 weeks. And I'll say 52 weeks now because we're not going to miss it at this point. Watch us miss it. But I've never been consistent for 52 weeks. So this has been fun.
Oh, you haven't been like in the gym consistently for a year, even ever? The answer is no.
No.
It's a rhetorical thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I really had to think of it at first, because I mean, I was in my, gym phase for a little while too. But even then, you take a week off for, rest. You do this. I mean, yeah. So this has been something that I mean, outside of being a dad, because that's a 24/7 thing. So you can't, I mean, but doing something other than being a dad or a husband, because that's a 24/7 thing.
Well, I think it's not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
not being a dad or a husband, I think it's
Because it's
important.
a 24/7 thing.
I think it's important to acknowledge that like your son is almost 2.5.
Hmm.
So when he gets to that age where he's like going to school and has like a regimented schedule, it will be easier for you to budget that time in for yourself to go do the things where
Yeah.
he's so he's been as young as he's been for the past couple years that you're like,
Right.
okay, if I'm not at work, he's my number one. He's it, right?
Right.
So I think once you get good with like, okay, schedule is consistent and I can focus like maybe 1 hour on doing like a go to the gym for me thing,
Hmm.
it's gonna get easier as he gets a little older,
And I
you
think
know?
that's me and Jen's goal next year is to, if not try to get back into going to the gym, trying to do like an at home workout maybe once or twice a week, just because, that
Something,
was something that
right?
we were really into before, him. And, as parents, you kind of get away from, your traditional things before having a kid. But that was something that, we wanted to try to do is get back to the gym. But, you know, we're still, always very safe, like post COVID still with a lot of things.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think having at home workouts is still, fine. I don't mind going to a gym, but it's like then again, like then you have to leave the house, go to the gym, do this, do that. Where if you at least go and do a home workout, all you have to do is go down to the basement, flip the TV on, and then do your job, turn it off, and then you're done. You don't have
Sure.
to really get in a car and go back home. So that's like I guess a New Year's resolution that I'm gonna try to get back up on, other than like trying to put more music out next year.
Sure.
So
I mean, I think um like definitely for me not being a dad or a husband, it's like realizing I think 35, I like hitting 35, I was like, "Oh, I'm still in my early 30s."
hmm
But I'm approaching 36. So
yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, 40 is right around the corner." So I'm starting to really think about like, dude, you got to take care of yourself
hmm
and like think really like healthy things, right? So I think that not like my number one thing for me a year ago was I need to get good with like my dental health. Like my teeth were in a bad place. So I've been to the dentist like 4 times in the past year. They did all the like deep cleaning and all the stuff. Like,
hmm
and it's just like for anyone out there that is like petrified of the dentist, like I can relate to you. I get it.
Yeah,
I'm there.
there's people out there that you know are not big on the dentist, and I mean, I don't have a thing with the dentist, but I was like the same as you. Like I didn't go for like a couple years, and then I'm like, all right, well, I had the same epiphany as you. Like I got to start taking care of this. I got to at least start doing that every 6 months. So thankfully, the last like 2-3 years, I've just been having it consistently every 6 months. Just do my checkups, and I'll do the I'll plan the next 6 month appointment at that appointment because I know I'm not going to call back.
Right.
So they'll be like, "Hey, well, when do you want your next appointment?" They'll give me the appointment then. I'm like, "All right, well, do it then because I ain't calling you guys. So
Right.
I'll
Well,
do it then."
it's like the whole I'll call later. And it's like you call now and then you're just gone.
I'm not calling. I'm not calling ever.
Yeah, that's why literally for me, I was supposed to go like a month ago
hmm
and I canceled the appointment and they've been texting and calling me ever since like we need to get you in here.
hmm
We want your money, man.
Just want your money, man.
Yeah. No, but in all honesty, we were actually sitting right in this room when your dad told me or told there were a handful of us. He's like, everything about your health starts in your mouth.
Mm.
And I sat there and I was
Dad wisdom.
yeah,
Gotta love it.
yeah, love him to death, man. I mean, he, as much as he despises me, he, he has spread some knowledge to me. And he's like, when he said that, like my one tooth has been rotting forever.
hmm
I went and got like root canal. I got like my deep cleanings done.
Yep.
I've like I think that was a couple years ago that we were in here when he said that. He's like, yeah, everything about your physical health starts with your mouth, your oral hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never discount him because not only is he a doctor, but he's definitely like one of the smartest people that I've ever encountered, like ever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so um, yeah, I mean, like I've done the dentist appointments, and I think for next year, my biggest thing is like I think I need to really embrace like um getting regular like checkups type thing because I'm like 36 is around the corner, which means 40 is around the corner, which means like, hey, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling off in any where in my body, it's like just go to the doctor, like schedule an appointment. Don't put it off
Yeah.
because it'll be too late, and then
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can't speak to it.
That's definitely something because there's been a lot of things like that. Not personally with me, but like thinking of those things because a lot of people put, especially for guys, because we're prone to just being like, just throw it off. It'll be fine. Stop crying. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think, just like everybody says that, you know, I think for guys we have to definitely be more weary of making sure that we're, checking up on ourselves, not just even physically, but like mentally, because we have a lot of, things that we hold against ourselves. And, uh, you know, this is not very Christmassy, but,
No, but it's
but it's definitely something that has to be,
acknowledged.
acknowledged that, uh, we throw a lot of things around, uh mentally, but we don't always get like the recognition, and we're because we're men, we're not supposed to talk about our feelings, and so we hold a lot of that stuff in. But I think we have to, get back to, or even start making it seem okay for people like us to, you know that it's okay to talk to somebody
Yeah,
when you need it.
I mean, you're talking like mental health, getting like therapy, like seeking
Hmm.
help when you need it. Um, our dads, I mean, I know my dad had my my parents had like some marriage counseling for like a little bit
Hmm.
when they were in a really tough spot.
Right.
Sorry to put you all on blast, but like that was 7 8 years ago.
Hmm.
They were geez, living with them was not easy. Um, but
And not to cut you off, I've, and again, not to put my parents on blast too, but I've definitely been in the room where, you know one of them, I won't put who said it, but one of them, was like, "Hey, when we get back home, it's either you or me." So, I mean, I think it's just, again, we come from parents that are like, I mean, I don't think they would ever leave each other because it's more like, hey, we're in this for the kids. I mean, hey, if we don't, have that type of connection anymore, it's one thing, but we have kids now, so
well, it speaks to the
I think that's the
resilience.
generation thing with it too.
Yes, it speaks to the resilience of that generation, and with social media, we're so prone to seeing like marriages and relationships split so frequently
Hmm.
that we're like, oh, if you get married, like you might just divorce in 5 years and then try again. Like,
Yeah, and even with
and
social media, like you're seeing all the good sides of people's lives where you don't normally post all the bad stuff. Just like anything. I'm not trying to say anybody's marriage is perfect, but uh, any relationship's not perfect. But if you don't work at it, it's not going to work.
yeah,
So.
and I I really need to qualify that. Number one, I'm not married, so like for those like you've been married for 7 8 years now, 8,
8
yeah, it's been uh 1 week since you looked at me,
months.
right?
Yeah.
um, but for those that have been married for some time
1 week since you married me.
and have been working at it, I'm not discounting you. I'm actually commending you and really congratulating you, because it's not like this world that we live in now, it's not an easy time now to really be like, oh, unless if you're like one of the lucky 10% of like relationships where it's like, boom, perfect, done, and that's it for the rest of my life, and no questions asked, right? Which
Right.
it's a thing, right? Just wrapping up, like, because this is actually episode 51 once it gets released on the 20.
That's right.
Friday the 23rd. This should be coming out. Anything else Christmas wise that we want to chat about? I know I have a couple things as far as like
You said
moments from Christmas that
I
I want to
let's
talk
get
about.
into that real quick.
Let's talk about that before we sign off. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So memorable moments of Christmas. What if you can remember? Maybe like a couple of like your favorite toys that you've gotten, as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think
and obviously these are probably going to be more 90s toys since we grew up in 90s. So a lot more of our 90s audience, if people listen, will acknowledge these toys.
Acknowledge. Actually, the most memorable were always the game consoles because I was such like a video game kid.
Yeah.
So when I was 5 years old, there was a huge wrapped present on. So we would come down our steps, tree was there, our presents were around it, but then like our dining room was over here, and on the dining room table wrapped was this big box, and I was like 5, didn't even know what it was, and we unwrapped it, and it was like a Sega Genesis, like throwback. I think it was 91 or 92.
Yeah.
We opened it, and like my older sisters, because my younger sister wasn't born yet, were like super excited about it. And I was just like, whoa, what's this? Because I
didn't really know what video game consoles were.
As usual, naive and don't know anything about anything. But after that, I remember, like, I actually can see it in my head. Because the way that we were at that time, my younger sister was born. So, like, when you went down for Christmas morning, like, you and Chris had separate piles, right?
Yeah.
Like,
usually
gifts were delegated for you.
Yeah,
each.
I would think from what I remember, we had our separate ones, but then we had like maybe one or two combined things as we got older.
Sure.
When we were, in our younger years, we had everything separated. But then I'm sure, my parents said, okay, well, let's just get this for both of them since they are like, I guess like, video game wise, me and my brother would do video games at one point. So like, all right, well, this is going to be a combined thing for you guys, but then you guys have your individual stuff over here. So,
right.
I was big into Swamp Thing when I was little too. So I remember I got one of his little mountain toys, like you would put the Swamp Thing figure like up on top of this like little volcano thing, but it would fall right into it and be like if he's transforming into like the swamp or something.
Dude, I don't think we've ever talked about this, and I was such a Swamp Thing kid too.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So this is just hitting me right now. I'm like, oh my God, Anthony was a Swamp Thing kid.
Oh yeah.
I had like the figurines, but I also had the mountain where it's like on top, it's like it had like a sponge thing that you could push through.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yes.
It took us only 20 plus years, but we found out that we're I was about to say SpongeBob fans, Swamp Thing fans. That's awesome. We're learning stuff every day. Dude. But yeah, that was the same thing that I was just talking about, that I had like the little mountain thing. It had like the sponge and you'd put the thing through it. So that like he's going back into the swamp or something.
Dude, did you have the, like the glow in the dark Swamp Thing?
I had that one. I had the one that had like the arm that comes out. I still have it. I mean, it's like fudged up, but I still have it. It has a knot in the string.
Dude, I can't believe we haven't talked about Swamp Thing.
Please tell me you saw the movie with why am I Heather Locklear, that movie.
I don't think I did.
Oh my God, that's got to be a watch
along.
Watch along in season two.
Yeah,
there you go. You guys heard it. We're doing that one.
We're doing it.
So, if you guys ever seen that movie, please tell Jim he needs to see it. But we're gonna see it together. So definitely Swamp Thing with Heather Locklear, best one. I mean, I'd seen snippets of the first one. But that one with Heather Locklear, best Swamp Man. Jesus, I am messing up. Swamp Thing movie. I'm just very excited because I was a big Swamp Thing fan. Like
I can't believe we didn't know that about each other until
either. This
right
is
now.
This is a whole brand new thing. We're starting a new podcast right now. This is a whole brand new podcast episode starting right here.
Yeah,
I mean, but no, that's awesome. But yeah, that was one of the things that I remember getting. On top of Batman things, I've had some Batman toys. You know, man, I think my first guitar was on Christmas. It was like a very cheap. It was like a Rogue guitar, red, black pick guard. Very very cheap. And then my brother got a drum set. My mom was very happy. But it was like one of those Kmart drum sets where it had like the bass drum, the snare, and then like a very cheap cymbal type thing.
Santa did well, right?
Yeah, very well.
Sure.
Thanks. Whoopsie. We'll whoopsie that out for the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was cool because I mean, and again, that really didn't spark me into becoming a guitar player at that point. But I think just my dad being a guitar player. I mean, I guess I was like, I'll give it to him, see if he catches on to it. If not, it wasn't a very expensive gift where if he doesn't like it, like, okay, well, I just spent $200 on this thing, so now you definitely got to play it. Right. So little did I know, I would have, maybe 5-7 years later, I would have catched on to it. Can't think of any more gifts right now. Is there any other gifts that you can think of that you were like, this was like one of the ones that I can definitely remember outside of Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to because Christmas and the meaning of it and the gifts change once we get older, right? So I'm going back to like the things that were like, hey. So the year was, I think, 99 or 2000 almost. We I want to say 97, 98, 99. And I was like, because I asked you, did you and Chris like have delegated, or individual piles or a couple things? And like after the Sega Genesis, my older sisters were very much out of video games and very much into like, high school girl like makeup things.
Yeah.
Because back then you could say they were girls. That's what they identified as, right?
Right. At that point.
So it was down to my last box or present rather. And I went to reach for it. And my mom was like, hey, you need to open this before that. And underneath the couch, she slid out this big box.
Nice.
And I opened it, and it was the original PlayStation.
Original. Yeah. OG. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the last gift was like 2 games for the console. I think one was Crash Bandicoot. Obviously was like,
I remember you being a big Crash Bandicoot person.
Yeah. Winnebago. Yep.
Now,
love it.
Did you start with? Did you start with Sega, then PlayStation? Did you ever get Nintendo, Super Nintendo?
So my dad actually had Atari when I was like, this was late 80s, early 90s. They had the Atari game set with like the joystick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had like the Nintendo original game system with Mario and Duck Hunt. Like we had the gun. Yeah. We had the gun to play Duck Hunt. Mm-hmm. Oof, that was fun.
I'm not sure if I ever told you that, I mean, this is something that I personally got but my Uncle Joe used to have one of the original Pac-Man like arcade game
Sure.
thing. I'm not sure if I ever told you that, but like we used to go to my mom's house, and that would be the first thing we go downstairs in the basement to do.
Sure.
And like you turn it on, it has the original Pac-Man theme and everything. It was sick. And uh he sold it, a couple years back, but I think it probably stopped working. I'm not sure if he just sold it because it was just taking up room. But that was one memory that I was always like fond of, the fact that like he had like an original Pac-Man,
Sure.
arcade game,
Sure.
thing in there. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Atari, Nintendo, Sega Genesis was when I was like 5. I think I was saying. Um, it was real weird. Not weird. I get it now, but like the one year I woke up and came down, and my mom and dad had already exchanged gifts. I was like, they did Christmas morning without the kids first. And in that time, I was like, what the
Whoopsie.
yeah. But now I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
Um,
I haven't got to that level yet, but
it's
yeah,
coming.
I can agree. It's coming. I can agree because and I think he's gonna be really fun this year, knowing that he's already been eye gazing this every night. So once he sees, because like you know this whole area is gonna be filled with toys in front, and that's how Jen used to do it too. Like the whole platform would be filled with Christmas toys. So I think once he sees that, like that morning, he's just gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
I think this is probably going to be the first year where like everything, as far as you and Jen being parents and seeing the kid be excited for Christmas,
Yeah.
this is where it's going to start.
Uh
It's
huh.
it's going to be
Yeah.
so
It's
fun.
been it's gonna
I
be fun
I
because
can't.
his expressions are just like it. This has like been, even though he's only been on this planet Other for like little over 2 years, but this has been the funnest year yet because
Yeah.
he's taken so many leaps into like really starting to have a personality, and you can talk with him. You can, you know, actually like start playing with him, and like because we will be out here playing baseball or something, just throwing around a baseball and stuff.
Well,
So
the
just actually having, starting to have some conversations with him, you can actually start building that relationship with him that much more.
well the
So
the interactions back and forth have to feel very like
mhm.
in real time.
And
Where
the dude is so funny. Like he'll just come up with things, and me and Jen are just cracking up. And I say this all the time, but you know, until you've had a kid, it's just, you hear people talking all the time, like, oh, yeah, he's doing this, he's doing that. But like, once you've had a kid, you're like, I know what you're feeling. Because like any little thing this person is doing, it just, takes your breath away. Because like, you can't believe that like this thing that you made is doing all this, so
sure,
it's crazy, man.
sure,
you know
yeah. I mean, I can't like obviously relate,
Mhm.
but I'm watching you go through it, and not for nothing, but um, it brings such joy to my heart knowing how much it was such an important thing to get you and Jen to being parents.
Mhm.
Um,
And it's it's been, you know we've always wanted to, be parents, but then now actually being in the thick of it, it's like, again, like I've said before, it's uh you have your ups and downs. There's days where it's like very exhausting, the days where you're not getting a lot of sleep, then days like this past week where he was actually sleeping at night all night. You're like, okay, good, I can get a full 8 hours of sleep, or 6 8 hours of sleep, do something.
okay, good.
Okay, good. and then at the times where you're just like, where you can't even think, but like I said, he woke us up this morning at like 6:30, and we're half asleep. He's wide awake, and then he started to tell you, like, downstairs, like, all right, just give me like 5 minutes. Downstairs, like, all right, I'm up. So we're coming down here. He is like watching TV like at 6 o'clock at night, and we're like half asleep. I'm like dying in the chair, and This kid has no sense of time. He doesn't know, so he's just like happy face all the time, unless something takes him out of that mood. But yeah, it's just you live for those moments, man. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What other Christmas things can we talk about?
I mean, I'll do my next. I have two like gifts that I want to talk about. One, it's a console thing, but we were in 8th grade, and I wanted a PS2 because PS2 was like the big thing.
The big thing, right?
And instead of my mom waiting for like the second to last and sliding out, gifts were all done. We're getting ready for breakfast. Like we're all breakfast. We're all sitting there, and then my mom was like, "Oh, forgot this one." And I opened it, and it was an Xbox, like the original Xbox. And I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was like the element of surprise, right?
Yeah.
Because I thought gifts were done. We're done. We're getting ready for breakfast, so it's over. And yeah, I was like super surprised. So that was a big thing. I have to talk about this one because shout out and rest in peace to Jason David Frank.
Yes.
My big gift one year was the saber-tooth sword, the White Ranger one.
I had that too.
Yeah.
And I also had the Dragon sword. They called the Dragon Sword.
I didn't have that one.
I had that one. That was cool.
I had the megas, like my uncle, my dad's brother, who barely ever see, the one year was just like, "Merry Christmas." I was like, "Who are you?" And then I opened the gift, and it was like the Megazord, like the original one. I was like, "Oh my god!"
You're right.
Yeah, it was wild. So those are like the childhood memories of.
Did you have the Power Ranger gloves that had like the symbol, the dragon symbol on
Nope.
there? And I think you either like hit it, had like the Power Ranger gloves. I had those.
I had the flip head figures.
I think I had one or two of those.
Yeah, I had the flip head.
Probably
figures.
Red Ranger and Green Ranger.
They were a hot commodity.
Yeah,
late 90s
because they flipped from regular human
in
face
person
and
to Ranger
helmet.
head. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. I think outside of that, and as we get older, it's not about the things, and this might bore people to hear, but it's a very real thing. So like my dad had surgery for they spotted a mass on his lung, which they confirmed after the surgery that he had lung cancer. So like the gift this year is the fact that he is good right now. Like that's
all you need.
That to me, I'm like,
no offense, you don't, and I'm not saying this in a personal way, you don't need another gift.
No, I'm like,
the gift is the fact that he's good, he's healthy, and shout out Big Jim, we love you. I'm glad everything was
successful on that front.
And I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about any of that, and we don't have to talk about much of it, but I'll just say I'm just glad that he's good. That definitely threw me through a whirlwind, because I can only imagine what you were going through, but it definitely took me through like a thing like, wow, somebody so close to me, and I can only imagine what you guys were going through. But just thank God and thank all the things above that he's good and he's recovering well.
Yeah, I mean that to me, because my younger sister Carly is she's like a shopaholic. She loves to shop. She loves to like just get stuff. And she asked me before Thanksgiving, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I'm like, "I have everything that I need. Like I'm good."
Yep.
The things that I need are not Christmas gifts. Like they're just real world problem things.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
My credit's fine, and this, that, and the other. But I do have debts. This,
Hmm.
it's not like Christmas gift stuff. I'm just like, I don't like, please don't spend money on me. Like I'm good, because I knew my dad was fine, and I was like, that's it for me.
Yeah,
I'm good.
that's the best gift anybody can get, is that type of good news, and knowing that you know he's gonna be around for you guys. So it's good.
Yeah, for sure. We want to wrap this one up.
Yeah, man. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you all again for joining us. We hope you guys get everything you want and have fun with your friends and family.
Yeah.
Hope you have, a very Merry Christmas yourself, buddy. We'll be in touch. Uh, Anything else you want to say?
I think you pretty much summed it up. It's not getting the material items that you want, which we talked about, like the things we got as kids. It's making sure that either you are in the presence of your loved ones, or if you have ongoing dissension with any family members,
Hmm.
try to sort them out before it's too late. Right? Like that's really important.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Amen.
this has been One Set. You know where to catch us,
One
and
Set Pod everywhere.
everywhere, and you know how to get a hold of us. We have merch online.
Yep.
Um,
Everything's in the description. So go to the description. The description. All the links are down there. Thank you for the support, all the love. Again, Merry Christmas, and
Happy holidays if you don't
happy
celebrate
holidays as well
Christmas. Yeah,
to anybody who doesn't necessarily celebrate Christmas. We share love with you guys too.
yeah.
So thank you guys.